It has been just under a month since the U.S. and Iran signed a preliminary deal to end their war. But this morning, lasting peace seems further away than ever. The U.S. has carried out a third night of strikes against Iran. This comes only hours before the U.S. plans to resume its blockade of Iranian ports in the Strait of Hormuz. Tehran has also launched new strikes at U.S. allies in the region and commercial tankers in the strait. And Crystal Gamansing is in London with an update for us. Crystal, what areas have been hit in this recent wave of strikes?
Well, Chris, we know U.S. Central Command said that they were targeting coastal locations in and around the Strait of Hormuz. And we can show you some pictures now of Kish Island. That's one location where Iranian officials say there was a strike. This is near the port area. However, this location was not one of the ones listed by the United States, known more as a tourist area than anything. However, Bandar Abbas is one location that Iranian officials and American officials are saying was in fact hit. The United States, for the third consecutive night, conducted aerial bombardments of Iran, hitting multiple locations. It was a 5-hour-long campaign that American officials say are aimed at trying to degrade Iran's abilities to conduct air operations, to conduct the strikes, particularly strikes in the Strait of Hormuz. We know that yet another shipping vessel was targeted yesterday. The United Arab Emirates said 2 of its oil tankers were targeted in what it called a brazen attack. Meanwhile, these attacks prompted counterattacks by Iran. We saw a number of Gulf locations that were also hit, locations that do have connections to the United States. They have American bases located there. Bahrain was one of those locations. Iranian officials saying they targeted numerous locations attached to the American bases, including accommodations for troops. Jordan, also an area that Iran claims that it struck. So these tit-for-tat strikes continuing, and it doesn't bode well for any hope that the ceasefire will remain intact, Chris.
And Crystal, let's talk about something that President Trump has talked about repeatedly that has been a red line for Iranian leadership, that the U.S. is planning to resume that naval blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, but this time charging a toll for passage. Where does this leave the dispute over who controls the strait?
Well, it really is a continued fight for the control of the strait. Iran wants to continue its grip on the strait because it allows Iran to have sort of the biggest bargaining chip. The United States says that will not happen. In fact, we heard yesterday from U.S. President Donald Trump saying that the United States continues to hit Iran. It may, in fact, continue to do that the United States has much more ammunition. Let's hear from the president directly.
We're hitting them very heavy tonight, as you know. We're hitting them. We have tremendous amounts of ammunition. We have numbers that we haven't had in years. And we're hitting them very hard, and it'll continue, and we'll see what happens. But we're knocking out all of their offensive capability, and we're controlling the straits. We're putting the blockade back. And it's a blockade not for anybody but Iran. In other words, anybody doing business with Iran can't go through. Everyone else will be able to go through.
And Chris, this very much is a he said situation. Iran saying that the strait is closed, the United States saying that it's open. As far as that toll goes, the U.S. president has said they would impose a 20% toll to ensure safe passage. That would go against international law, although there are some waterways that do have a service charge for maintenance of facilities. So it is unclear when and if any vessel would actually pay that fee. Meanwhile, we are also hearing from Iranians saying that a U.S. aggression in the Strait of Hormuz and any sort of return to full-scale war will not reopen the strait to global travel. Chris?
Always appreciate the update. Thank you so much for that, Crystal.
Thank you.